What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about sentiment. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. Okay, it's the 5th day of June, and what I mean by sentiment is maybe you've been on X.com, maybe you're on YouTube in your favorite Discords, wherever it might be, and you hear this exact phrase time and time again. People saying, sentiment has never been worse as far as I'm concerned. I've been in crypto since 2015, okay? Just to give you a little bit of a reference as to what my experience is in the market. People were saying sentiment has never been worse up here. Now, clearly, and here, clearly, down here, sentiment is going to be worse than it was up here. But this idea that it's at its worst, it's never been worse as far as you're concerned, that's BS. that's not true. I don't know how long Jackson's been in crypto. Maybe he's been in it longer than me. But if he's been in it longer than me, or as long as I have, or even relatively close, and he thinks sentiment has never been worse than it is now, and not just I'm not just trying to pick on Jackson here. By the way, shout out to the Bitcoin Cash podcast. I'm picking on anybody who talks like this. You guys are emotional. You're deluded because sentiment has definitely been worse than this. And sentiment, my friends, it's going to get a whole lot worse. It's going to get a whole lot worse. Right now, there's still a lot of hope. There's still a lot of doubt. When I say doubt, I mean doubt that it's going to go lower. We're kind of nervous that it's going to go lower, and I'm saying we. I already know. I very much believe it's going to go lower. I mean we as an ecosystem, as a crypto community. There's still doubts that we're actually in the throes of this bear market. There's still doubts that we're going to see prices below 60K. There's still doubts that we won't go above 100K anytime soon, right? We won't be going above 100K, you guys, until 2027, this time, like June or later of 2027. It's going to be a long time until we're above 100K. And it could be even later than that. It might be 2028 before we're above 100K. Sentiment's going to get worse, and it's not because of a giant drop like we've seen over the past couple weeks, which really isn't that big, honestly. Sentiment's going to get worse whenever any pump that we get, everybody is skeptical on it, right? Whenever any kind of pump we get, people are not so eager to say, oh, maybe now we're recovering. This is the time. The bottom's in. Bear market's over after 6 months. No. Sentiment's at its worst whenever even the best YouTube channels, even the people who make the most accurate predictions and have the largest followings, whenever they get less views. Sentiment's at its worst when we're seeing consistent levels of fear in the fear and greed index for months at a time. Sentiment's at its worst when people are bored and there's nothing going on in the market. And X is literally a ghost town. And the only people talking on X are just negative, 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 negative. And of course, there's going to be some people who are positive. Everybody has their own take, but if it seems that way now to you, you better buckle up because things are going to get far worse, far, far worse. Absolutely, they will. As far as price goes, I don't think it's going to get far worse. I think price, we're closer to the bottom than it seems. And if you guys want to go over that, let's actually we can do that real quick. Okay, let's see. Scribbles. If we're on the monthly time frame here, I personally don't believe, and I can be wrong, just because I don't believe this doesn't mean that it's impossible of happening, but I don't believe we go below this low. I don't believe we go below 50K. I believe we hold $50,000 to $55,000 of support, and that'll be our bear market low. Can we go lower? Yes. Yes, we can. But from both a time perspective and from a price perspective, I'm assuming we're closer to the low than we are to the high. Right? I think we are actually very, very close to the low. Just because we find the low doesn't mean that it's time to move up immediately. Here, we actually moved sideways for, it looks like only 1 month. We moved sideways for about like 2 months here before moving up. Here, whenever we found our low, we moved sideways for a couple months, and then we had a massive pump, but then we came back down in the COVID crash. We saw 19 months of stagnation before the actual bull market kicked off. If we can go back in time even further, you can see here that once we found the low to the bear market, we moved sideways. We really didn't kick off the bull market until 9 months later. So let's imagine that we do find the low within the next 3 to 6 months, within the next 2 to 6 months, however long it is. We still likely don't see any recovery until 2027. And again, probably like a year later where things really start to shape up. And even in that recovery there, are you at new all-time highs immediately? No, you moved sideways again. It took you some time. It looks like you're just moving up in a straight line, but it wasn't like this. You got tested. There were people who were bearish here, and rightfully so. You just moved down for a long time. There were people who were bearish here, and well, to be completely fair, that was the right call. But in time, we moved up. Who doubted that the bull market was alive and that we'd be moving up? There were people who were bearish here, and that's because even after months of moving sideways and then a recovery, you still moved sideways. You were boring. Bitcoin is going to, and that's the point that I'm trying to make here. That's really the grand scheme of this video, is that sentiment is not at its worst. I have seen it way worse than this. In the 2018, 2019 bear market, in the 2021 to 2022 bear market, way worse. Way, way, way worse than this. Buckle up. Buckle up, because the hardest part is not sitting through the downside. That's not fun. And you can be your own worst enemy in moments like this. And with that being said, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, stack cash. And if you're buying cryptos, buy crypto for the long run. I feel like I'm talking now. This channel has been in existence for one full cycle. This is the same rhetoric that I gave in the beginning of this channel's history when we were at the bear market lows last time. If you're buying now, you're buying for the years to come. You're not buying so that in a month or in 2 months, whenever you're down 20%, that you sell. No, you're buying more if that happens. We're in stack cash or buy and buy more mode and hold. That's what we're in right now. And you'll see it. If you've never been through a bear market, to you, this might seem like this is the worst that sentiment has ever been. But if you've been through a bear market before, you probably know what I'm talking about. Sentiment will get worse. And you'll see it. You'll see it. Whenever we actually show signs, whenever we start to get higher highs, we actually show signs that the bear market's over. Whenever, according to the 4-year cycle, it's the right time for us to move up, and the narrative is shifting, and we're moving up, and then a bunch of negative news is coming out, even though we're moving up, and things seem like they're at their worst that they possibly could get. Bitcoin's breaking serious structural support. The FUD about MicroStrategy comes back, that it's going to be insolvent, or that Michael Saylor's a Ponzi. Bitcoin's broken. I mean, we're seeing some of these narratives play out now. Bitcoin's broken. The narrative's lost. The 4-year cycle's broken. The 4-year cycle's not broken. 4-year cycle is, if anything, is alive and well right now. The business cycle is broken, at least for Bitcoin, in Bitcoin's sense. And then here's another thing too. Here's one more thing I'll leave you with. I was actually talking to one of my friends about this yesterday. Shout out to Leaf. Love you, brother. This is a theory I want to share with you guys. Most crypto OGs like myself, who've been in it since 2015 or earlier, or maybe in the 2017 cycle. I think at that point, if you've been in here for a few cycles, you're probably an OG at that point. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's 2010. You're the OGs, the real OGs. But most people who've been in crypto for a while, we've heard of the decoupling, right? The decoupling of crypto to the stock market. And we've always imagined that what would happen is that there's going to be some kind of world catastrophe or world fear, panic, that causes people to rush to hard assets like Bitcoin and gold. You'll see the stock market dump, because in times of fear, in times of war, in times of concern, uncertainty, whatever, stocks dump, assets dump, but gold and precious assets go up in value. And the thought here is that the decoupling would be stocks tanking and crypto pumping. And I think we're seeing the decoupling happening now, except it's the opposite. It's not happening the way that the OGs thought it would. It's happening the way of the opposite, where crypto's dumping and stocks are pumping. So what I'm getting at here is that in time, when things seem like they're at their worst, when the macro narrative, news cycle, whatever, is at its worst and things are fearful, and maybe the stock market is at a topping point, we'll see the stock market dump, and instead of crypto dumping with it, I think crypto might move sideways, be in an accumulative phase. We might even see some overall upward momentum as time goes on. It won't be like stocks move down and crypto moves up, exactly inverse of each other. But we're going to see things will get worse. Things will get a lot worse. And I'm not just talking about crypto. I'm talking about in the world, that the media, the uncertainty in the air is going to get worse. And that's how you'll know that we're at the bottom. It's not here. Stock market's good. Wars are chilling out, right? Ukraine, Russia is hopefully going to chill out. Iran, United States is chilling out. We'll see if any new conflicts arise. I know that Trump has his eyes on Cuba. Not that Cuba is as big of a deal as Iran, but war of any kind is a big deal. So don't get it twisted. There's definitely worse things that can happen and generate some negative things, but things seem to be on the up and up as far as a macro friendly environment goes, and yet we're still moving down. Things will get worse. Things will get worse. It'll make you question if you should be in anything at all, and maybe you should just pull everything out and hold cash. And at that point, that's when you should dump your load into the market and hold for years. Hold for years, man. Hold for years. I got nothing else. I've talked enough, so hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. If I could have a closing statement at all, it would be that the mindset I think that everybody needs to have is a kind of two-part mindset. First and foremost, stack cash. I don't care if you're putting $100 away a week. Make it a goal. $100 away a week. If you can do $1,000 a week, if you can do more than that, good for you. Do that. If you can do $1,000 a month, good for you. Do that. If you however much you can. Don't hurt your lifestyle, but be stingy. Be calculated. Maybe you have $100,000 in the market, and you quit your job, and you don't, and now you're thinking about picking up a job at Walmart, and you can only save up $100 a week, because everything else you're using the rest of the money to pay for bills or whatever else without tapping into your funds. I've been there. Even if you have $100,000 in the market and you're saving up $100 a week, that $100 a week, you save it up, you save it up, you save it up. After some time, you have $1,000, and that $1,000 could 100x in the next cycle. It could 10x in the next cycle. It's worth it, no matter how small the amount is, to save money weekly. Stack your cash. Even keep it on the exchange if you want to, or keep it in your bank account, keep it physical, whatever. Stack your cash, and then when the time comes, throw it in the market. There's nothing wrong with DCAing, and then this is the second part. When you do DCA, when you do get into the market, tell yourself, this is for the long term. Every buy that you make from here on out is not a short-term endeavor. It's an investment. It's something that you should hold on to for years. That through the thickness of fear, you should hold on to and buy more. Only buy more. Years. Like 2028, 2029. Okay? If you think the top of the bull market, if you think that we're going to be raging in 2027, you're a raging delusionist. No offense. I've been there. I'm just saying, you look at the 4-year cycle, which is not broken. 2028, 2029, probably 2029 is going to be the bull market top. And we could be in the beginnings of a super cycle with that one. It could go longer. Who knows? This time could be different, but those are some famous last words. I try not to believe them every cycle, and every single bull cycle I feel like I consistently get excited at the highs. Maybe I will at the next one. I'll just like this last one, I'll think that we're in a bull market super cycle, and it'll go on longer than it should. But if you really want to set yourself up in the right way, stack cash, and then keep in mind every purchase is for long-term holdings. Even if it goes down, you're not selling. You're just buying more. That's the mentality you need to have. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Good luck. And buckle up, because we have not seen the worst of it yet. Absolutely not. The worst of it's not when we're at the lows. The worst of it is months after that, actually. Take care. Bye-bye.